Welcome back, summer students. I wanted to say a little bit about paragraph level revision. And to start this discussion, I actually pulled out an antique. What is it? This is an essay that I wrote in freshman comp, a course very much like the one you're taking. Take a look at this paragraph. It's supersized. I had not yet had instruction in writing. And I remember this was a very wonderful professor. He's deceased now, Dr. Stevenson. And, oh, my poor concluding paragraph, so skimpy, considering that some of my paragraphs are this big. So one of the things you want to think about in your paragraph revision or paragraph development is balance. You always want to think about the overall length of your paper and the relationships of the paragraphs, the parts to the whole. If you're writing journalism or public relations or marketing writing, the paragraphs typically are very short. And I remember when I made the transitions to those fields after having been an English major. One of the challenges indeed was learning to write the shorter paragraph. As an English major, writing a lot of literary criticism and some of the academic papers in my other classes as well, it was the longer paragraph that was favored and that was expected. Textbooks, even when I was in school, as late as the 1980s even, paragraphs in textbooks were pretty substantial, but that's changed. I hate to use an expression like dumbing down, and that's not really what I'm meaning to say, but we're a society that demands quicker information delivery. So many of the paragraphs that you see online are going to be really short, bullet points everywhere, and there's nothing wrong with quick information delivery, but we want to be sure that we can appropriately develop ideas. Most of your professors in college will be looking for a more solid, well-developed paragraph. And like most teachers, I hesitate to tell you a number of sentences, 4 to 7 sentences, 6 to 8 sentences, 5 to 10 sentences. What I suggest you do, if you want to get a more quantifiable handle on this, is to once again open your Longman Reader at random, choose a professional essay, and count the number of sentences in a few of the paragraphs. It may seem like an absurd or meaningless activity, but just to kind of get a sense, look at your first essay that you wrote and tally up how many sentences per each paragraph. It just is another way of looking at your writing. I tend to use very much a measurement principle. I like to use my fingers. And when I'm looking back at this paper, which I was indeed proud of, and if you're curious what the topic was, it was a compare and contrast of my two sisters who I've observed my whole life. Rosa and Cecile, changes in a decade. Shorter paragraph, longer paragraph, supersized paragraph. It lacks balance. I think I had good content and good examples, and I think I had strengths at the sentence level. Listen to the supersized paragraph. This is paragraph 4. Rosa's quite a different person now. When she was 20 and married Jules, he was a sociable person who was interesting complement to her personality. Today, she entertains large groups with ease and initiates the effort to do so. She is active in a public service organization. She has become quite talkative and can be outspoken at times, a far cry from the timid person she used to be. On one occasion, she lost a job because of her criticism of a superior's disinterested attitude toward his work. Also, she's created a number of domestic skills. She is a talented seamstress, creating styles she looks best in. She plants and harvests, cans and pickles, bakes and cooks, freezes and dries. Her house is creatively decorated and does get messy at times. ... I am only halfway through the paragraph. And on the one hand, I can say, well, look how different she is than she used to be. I had just painted a little portrait of her in the first paragraph. But that longer paragraph can be benefited, I think, or improved with the use of transitional words. In addition, furthermore, at the same time, nevertheless, however. And again, it's not that you want to put one of these in front of every sentence, but without markers, it sometimes is hard to see the relationship of ideas. I see that there's a whole segment near the bottom of this longer paragraph, and I only read you part of it, that deals with my sister's connections with children, and that could indeed be removed. In other words, taken out of this paragraph and put in a paragraph of its own. So here's a basic question to ask yourself as you read over your work. Look at the individual paragraph. It's like, what's going on in this paragraph? It's a very basic question, but there are many things going on, and if there are a whole lot of things going on, break the paragraph down. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. I have a paragraph almost all the way through the essay, which truly can be an essay of its own, and that was about both my sister's impact on me. So I didn't know yet. I was a new writer, and maybe you already know more than I knew in freshman comp, could be. Although I had done a lot of reading, I had read a lot of books, and the thing is, in books, there is a certain freedom, depending on the nature of the book, to go short or long with the paragraphs. So be curious about paragraphs. Look at the things that are around you. Look in the Longman Reader. Notice online how long blocks of text can be very hard to focus on, but that doesn't mean we can't focus on them in book form. It doesn't mean we shouldn't experiment with paragraph length, short and long. Try not to be in a rut, though, as a writer. Strive to be flexible. Strive to do it all. Strive to have an open mind about your paragraphs. And again, back to that question, when you review each of your paragraphs, ask yourself, what's going on here? And if it's too much for one unit, break it down. Hope this is helpful. Good luck.